All right, starting lesson 5.2, isosceles and equilateral triangles. All right, the two congruent sides of an isosceles triangle are called the legs. So to the right here we have an isosceles triangle. These are the legs, the congruent sides. And the non-congruent side is called the base. All right, there's the base. All right, now the two angles that have the base as a side are these angles right here. Let me just highlight them. These angles here, they both have a side. That's the base. Those are the base angles. And the angle opposite of the base is this here is known as the vertex angle. All right. All right, now there's a couple properties with regards to isosceles and equilateral triangles. All right. So first we have the base angle theorem, which states that if AB is congruent to AC, so if these sides are congruent, then the angles across from them are congruent. All right, and vice versa. So if these two angles are congruent, then the sides across from them are congruent. All right, that's all there is to it. Pretty simple property, but comes in really handy. So for example 1, solve for the value of the variables. Okay, well we have these two sides are the same. It's an isosceles triangle. And applying the base angle theorem, we know that the angles across from those congruent sides are the same. So x is equal to 46 as well. So we have that piece. And now I have two angles to the triangle. How am I going to figure out the third? Well, what do they all add up to? They all add up to 180. All right, so I have 92 plus y is equal to 180. Subtract 92, and y is equal to 88. All right, so for part B, I know these two angles are the same. All right, I only know one of the angles though, so what are you going to do? You know x is equal to y. I also know that x plus y plus 40 is equal to 180. So I could just do a little substitution here. I could replace y with x. So then I have one variable in the equation. All right, so I have 2x plus 40 equals 180. Subtract 40. And I have 2x is equal to 140. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. And x is equal to 70. All right. Well, if x is 70, what's y? Y is also 70. Done. All right, going on to part C. All right, I know these two angles are the same. So what do I know about the sides across from them? Their lengths are the same. So 5x plus 5 equals 35. Subtract 5. 5x is equal to 30. Divide by 5. X is equal to 6. Done. Now, what about the 16? Well, we don't have to use it in this case. You just have to be able to determine which information you need to use to figure out the variable value. All right, let's go on. More problems. All right, before we do, here's a couple new properties. Equilateral triangle theorem. If a triangle is equilateral, then it is also equiangular. So all the sides across from these congruent. All right. So all the angles across from the congruent sides are also congruent. And equiangular triangle theorem. If a triangle is equiangular, then it is equilateral. So all of the sides across from these congruent angles, they're also the same. Okay. So example 2, find the value of the variables. Well, I know these sides are all the same. It's equilateral. So what do I know about all the angles? They all must be x. Right? They're all the same. So x plus x plus x is equal to what? 180. All the angles add up to 180. So I have 3x is equal to 180. Divide by 3. And x is equal to 60. All right, for part B, let's see here. I have 60 here. I have 60 here. Well, what's this missing angle? Well, these two add up to 120, so this one's going to be 60 as well. All right, because they all have to add up to 180. All right, since they're all the same, that means I'm working with an equiangular triangle, and that means it's also equilateral. So all the sides have the same length. All right, it's easy as that. Done. All right, for part C, I have an isosceles triangle and an equiangular triangle. All right, so what am I going to do here? Well, all these sides are the same because it's also equilateral. So that's 7 and that's 7. All right, so x is equal to 7. And then here I have isosceles. All right, so these sides across from the congruent angles are the same. All right, so then I know 7 is equal to y plus 4. All right, so once you understand all the properties, doing these problems becomes really easy. All right, to test mastery for your understanding now, let's do these two problems. What do I have here? I have a equilateral triangle. So I know these angles are the same. Okay. So that's x minus 2 here. All right, well, I could figure out x now. I know x minus 2 plus x minus 2 plus 4x plus 10. That equals 180. Let's add like terms. And I have 6x. Then I have plus 6 equals 180. Subtract 6. 6x is equal to 174. Divide by 6. And what do I get? I get 29 for x. I still have to figure out y, though. All right, how am I going to do that? There's two different ways you could do it. You could notice that these are a linear pair here, or you could also notice that this is an exterior angle, so it's equal to the sum of these two angles here. So your choice, how you want to approach the problem. But I'm going to add them up. Set equal to 180. And I just figured out x, it's 29. All right, then I have 27 plus 3y is equal to 180. Subtract 27. I have 153 is equal to 3y. So I divide by 3, and y is equal to what? It's equal to 51. Done. Let me do it the other way as well. Let me just show you the setup if you wanted to do it the other way. You would say 3y is equal to x minus 2 plus 4x plus 10. All right, that's using the exterior angle property. All right, let's do part B now. All right, see what do I have here? I have two isosceles triangles. All right. So these angles are the same. They're congruent. So I have 5x minus 10 is equal to 3x plus 10. All right, so I add 10. 5x equals 3x plus 20. Minus 3x. 2x is equal to 20. X is equal to 10. Got that? How am I going to figure out y now? Okay. Let me zoom in here a bit. So here I have an isosceles triangle. These angles are the same. So this is 4y as well. Okay. All right, so you may think a little bit about this, and a lot of people get stuck at first, but then we just figured out x. What is x? X is 10. Back in here, I get 50 minus 10, which is 40. Okay, so these are both 40. They add up to 80, so that makes this right here 100 then, because they all have to add up to 180. And then I know that this is a linear pair here, so I could say 4y plus 100 equals 180. So I subtract 100, and I get 4y is equal to 80. Divide by 4, and y is equal to 20. Done. All right, that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask. Begin the assignment.